Patuloy pa rin ang digmaan sa Ukraine at Russia hanggang ngayon. Ilang araw na mula nagsimula ang digmaan sa ibang bansa.
Russia launched its invasion. The U.S. gave Ukrainian forces detailed intelligence about exactly when and where Russian missiles and bombs were intended to strike, prompting Ukraine to move air defenses and aircraft out of harm's way, current and former U.S. officials told NBC News. That near real-time intelligence sharing also paved the way for Ukraine to shoot down a Russian transport plane carrying hundreds of troops in the early days of the war, the officials say, helping repel a Russian assault on a key airport near Kiev. The details about the air defenses and the transport plane, which have not previously been reported, underscore why, 2 months into the war, officials assess that intelligence from U.S. spy agencies and the Pentagon has been an important factor in helping Ukraine thwart Russia's effort to seize most of the country.
Ukraine continues to move air defenses and aircraft nearly every day with the help of American intelligence, which is one reason Russia has not been able to establish air dominance, while U.S.-Ukrainian cooperation had been building since Russia seized Crimea in 2014. The Biden administration shifted into high gear in the weeks before the Russian invasion when a U.S. military team visited to assess the state of Ukraine's air defenses. The Americans provided Ukraine with detailed advice about how to disperse their air defense systems, a move that U.S. officials say helped Ukraine prevent Russia from seizing control of the skies. Once the invasion got underway, lawyers in the U.S. defense and intelligence bureaucracy imposed guidance that in some cases limited the sharing of targeting information that could enable lethal Ukrainian strikes against Russians. Earlier this month, for example, the Director of National Intelligence withdrew and replaced a memo that prohibited intelligence sharing for the purposes of regaining captured territory or aiding Ukrainian strikes in Crimea, or the Donbass official said. Even before the change, the U.S. had provided Ukraine with timely information enabling it to better target Russian forces. Ukrainian forces have used specific coordinates shared by the U.S. to direct fire on Russian positions and aircraft. Those early shootdowns helped thwart the Russian air assault operation, designed to take Hostomel airport near Kiev, which would have allowed the Russians to flood troops and equipment to the region around the capital. The Russians eventually took the airport for
незамедлительных действий. Народные республики Донбасса обратились к России с просьбой о помощи. В связи с этим, в соответствии со статьей 51 части 7 Устава ООН, санкции Совета Федерации России и во исполнение ратифицированных Федеральным собранием 22 февраля сего года договоров о дружбе и взаимопомощи с Донецким.
West to back off. This comes amid international concern over his troop buildup on the Ukraine border. Here in the U.S., one top military commander says the chances of nuclear war are actually increasing. National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin tells us about it tonight from the Pentagon.
Мы будем предпринимать адекватные, ответные военно-технические меры. На недружественные шаги жестко реагировать. И, хочу подчеркнуть, имеем на это полное право. Имеем полное право на действия, призванные обеспечить безопасность и суверенитет России.
51st day. And there is now a possible new dimension to this entire conflict. In the latest coming in, the Moscow authorities have now warned that Washington is now arming its weapons against Ukraine. This after the U.S. President Joe Biden announced
border and U.S. intelligence indicating an invasion of Ukraine could happen early next year. U.S. President Biden met virtually with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Good to see you again.
The pair spoke for 2 hours. Putin denies Russia intends to invade Ukraine, calling it fear-mongering.
In a couple of minutes. Due to an unusual trick, a platoon of tanks was destroyed. A column of tanks fell for a rather unusual trick of the military while moving along the main street of an urban-type settlement. As it turned out, a tactical trick was used, as a result of which a platoon of heavy tanks was destroyed in just a few minutes. On the corresponding video frames, you can see how a column of 3 tanks is moving along the main street of an urban-type settlement. For obvious reasons, it would have been impossible to hit 3 heavy armored vehicles were made on them. The adjustment, which, quite likely, was carried out just from the unmanned aerial vehicle that was filming. The most spectacular was the destruction of the 3rd combat vehicle, the crew of which, probably, realized the current situation and began to move. However, an accurate blow was delivered to it, as a result of which the ammunition
Tuloy pa rin ang digmaan sa Ukraine versus Russia. Sila pa naglalaban pa rin sila hanggang ngayon, ilang araw nang nakalipas. Kanilang paglalaban. Putin warning to the US to do not help Ukraine.
Russia has deployed launching systems capable of sending deadly thermobaric rockets at Ukrainian targets. Russia has deployed launching systems capable of sending deadly thermobaric rockets at Ukrainian targets, a senior U.S. defense official told reporters on Tuesday, a possible signal that the Kremlin is readying more terrifying weapons in order to strike fear into the population after logistical hurdles have hampered the early stages of the military campaign. The official, who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss a sensitive military topic, would not confirm where Russia had placed the thermobaric launchers, and the Defense Department had not confirmed that Russia had put in place or used any thermobaric munitions as of Tuesday, according to the official. But Kiev and observers on the ground have gone further. Ukraine's ambassador to the United States and rights group said on Monday that Russia had already used the weapon. Also known as vacuum bombs, thermobaric munitions create a high-temperature reaction by sucking in oxygen from the surrounding area, producing a longer blast wave than conventional bombs. Russia is likely to employ the weapons to terrorize the Ukrainian army and civilian resistance. Experts told Foreign Policy in a possible effort to overcome logistical snags that have held back the military advance toward major cities such as Kharkiv and Kiev. They will kill not just in the direct vicinity of the impact, said Mick Mulroy, a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense and CIA officer. It will suck the oxygen out of the air and out of the lungs of people nearby. It is horrendous. Russia's defense ministry warned Tuesday of imminent, high-precision strikes in Kiev, Ukraine's capital. But the deployment of thermobaric-capable launchers, such as the TOS-1 multiple rocket launcher, has put officials and experts on alert that Russia may move toward less precise weapons as it expands precision-guided weapons at a high rate and starts to consider siege warfare to take major cities. Russia also reportedly used the weapons during the Chechen wars of the 1990s and early 2000s, drawing condemnation from human rights groups, as well as during a campaign to retake the Syrian city of Ghouta in 2018. Russian military doctrine is heavily reliant on artillery and longer-range fires to provide cover for ground forces and undermine enemy morale. We are already seeing multiple rocket launchers on the outskirts of major cities. Dara Masakot, a senior policy researcher at the RAND Corporation who studies Russian military capabilities, told Foreign Policy on Friday. Russia has fired more than 400 missiles into Ukraine over the course of the 6-day conflict. According to Pentagon estimates, most of them short-range ballistic missiles. But U.S. officials insist that Russian troops, not Ukrainians, are the ones with a morale problem right now. The senior U.S. defense official who spoke to reporters said today that a significant number of Russia's more than 150,000 invaders
Ukraine may not be delighted with military aid from the United States and NATO countries, but they can't complain about the latest hardware shipment they received from Washington. They are getting 155mm howitzers to blast the Russians in the Donbass phase of the war. These artillery pieces are likely made up of M777 lightweight towed howitzers, a new and updated version of the guns. Let's take a look at the M777 to see how it can make a difference on the battlefield for Ukraine. Watch this video until the end and give your opinion.